Hello and welcome to Homebrew EDH, where I take you through my personal commander decks, how they work, and how they win. This episode will be Kardur Doomscourge. Costs 2 black-red for a Demon Berserker is a 4/3. When he enters the battlefield, until my next turn, creatures my opponents control attack each combat if able, and a player other than me if able. He also states that whenever an attacking creature dies, each opponent loses 1 life, and you gain 1 life. This is about the most fun group hug deck I've ever built. So I took this in a direction that involves a ton of life gain, everybody else attacking each other, and eventually draining my opponents for the win. The most important part of this deck is gaining enough life to use it as a resource throughout the game for multiple purposes. Cards like Cosmos Elixir, Ill-Gotten Inheritance, Dogged Pursuit, and Zulaport Cutthroat are great cards for keeping our life total high enough to use. With all that life, we can use it in various ways. The best one in this deck is card draw. Arguel's Bloodfast is 1 and a black for a legendary enchantment where you can pay 1 and a black, pay 2 life, and draw a card. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you have 5 or less life, you may transform it. Now it transforms into a land where you can either tap to add a black, or tap, sacrifice a creature. You can gain life equal to the sacrificed creature's toughness. I only ever use it on the front side because it just lets me keep drawing cards. Speaking of drawing more cards, we've got more outlets like Vampiric Rites, which says pay 1 and a black, sacrifice a creature, you gain 1 life and draw a card, just like Witch's Cauldron, except Witch's Cauldron is an artifact and you have to tap it. Other cards that love using our life total is Plumb the Forbidden, 1 and a black for an instant. As an additional cost to cast this spell, you may sacrifice 1 or more creatures. When you do, copy this spell for each creature sacrificed this way. You draw a card and lose 1 life. More along those lines is Midnight Reaper, 2 and a black for a 3/2 zombie knight. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, Midnight Reaper deals 1 damage to you and you draw a card. Now for sacrificing creatures for card draw, we have cards like Bankrupt in Blood, which we can sacrifice 2 creatures and draw 3, or Altar's Reap, sacrifice 1 creature and draw 2. Now also in this deck is a large theme of discard equals damage. So I have a Geth's Grimoire, 4 mana for an artifact. Whenever an opponent discards a card from his or her hand, you may draw a card. And the best way to draw cards besides the Bloodfast, I believe, in this deck is God Eternal Bounty. 3 black for a 5/6 legendary creature, Zombie God with Menace. When he enters the battlefield, you can sacrifice any number of other permanents, which includes lands, and then draw that many cards. When he dies or is put into exile from the battlefield, you can put it in 3rd from the top. So if you get mana flooded, you can play Bantu, sack some lands, and hope to draw into some other answers. Now there's a lot of sacrificing creatures, so there's a lot of graveyard use in this deck as well. So we've got ways to bring our creatures back with Soul Salvage, Gravedigger, Unearth, and the best one, Forever Young. 1 and a black for a sorcery. Put any number of target creature cards from your graveyard on top of your library and draw a card. So you put the best one on top of all of them and then draw it into your hand. The other thing you can do with life gain in this deck is removal with cards like Font of Agonies. 1 black for an enchantment. Whenever you pay life, like with the Bloodfast, put that many blood counters on Font of Agonies. You can pay 1 and a black, remove 4 counters from it, and destroy target creature. Now on the topic of removal, we've got cards like Blood on the Snow, Doomblade, Murder, and Void. Void is a fun one because it's 3 black-red for a sorcery. You can pick any number. Destroy all artifacts and creatures with mana value equal to that number. Then target player reveals his or her hand and discards all non-land cards with converted mana cost equal to that number. So be careful which number you pick. And now for the part that everybody wants to see, how is this a group hug deck? That's because it affects everybody. Well, less so me, and more so all my opponents. Cards like Volcanic Torrent deal X damage to each creature and planeswalker your opponents control, where X is the number of spells you've cast this turn, so enough small spells can really add up with this. Cards like Crypt Rats can pay X, deals X damage to each creature and each player, spend only black mana on X. Dragon Mage, which is a wheel on a large stick. Chaos Maw, which when it comes in deals 3 to every creature. Got a couple of group discard, like Rick's Mighty Dungeon Palace and Gaia Reach Sanitarium. And speaking of all that discard, maybe you want to draw some cards. We've got Obnixilis the Hate-Twisted. Glinthorn Buccaneer is another very powerful card in this deck, alongside Gutter Snipe. The two best cards in this category go to Priest of the Forgotten Gods, being a sacrifice outlet that can lose everybody 2 life, sacrifice a creature. We add black to our mana pool and draw a card. And the best one, I believe, in this category is Professor Onyx from Strixhaven. 4 black for a Planeswalker, Liliana, 5 loyalty. +1 reads, you lose 1 life, look at the top 3 cards of your library, 1 into hand, the rest into the graveyard. For -3 says each opponent sacrifices a creature with the greatest power among creatures that player controls, and her ultimate at -8 is essentially a Torment of Hailfire. Each opponent may discard a card. If they don't, they lose 3 life. Repeat this process 6 more times. I think Torment, you can also sacrifice permanents, but that ultimate is pretty devastating in the right point in the game. And now for how the deck wins. Basically, you never want to be attacked. We have the best card in the deck, Conjurer's Closet. At the beginning of your end step, you may exile target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. So you can blink your Kardur and never have to worry about being attacked. We also have Rise of the Dreadmarn. If you board wipe at the right time, you can create X 2/2 Black Zombie Berserker creature tokens, where X is the number of non-token creatures that die this turn. And the way to drain all of your opponents, if you didn't expect it by now, Grey Merchant of Asphodel. 3 black. When he enters the battlefield, each opponent loses X life, where X is your devotion to black, and you gain life equal to life lost this way. So you pair this, you pair Gary with Conjurer's Closet, twice a turn, gets devastating really quickly. And that is about it. If you enjoyed the video, go ahead and leave a like. Consider subscribing. It's free. You can always change your mind later. If you have ideas you'd like to see me build, leave a comment below. I do read them all. As always, the deck list will be in the description with all the cards I didn't include in this video. And until I see you guys in the next one, take it easy and enjoy your stay.